Welcome to the High Ground Podcast. As always, I'm Stevie W.
I'm Callum. I can't do the Bond introduction, sadly. So
The name's Bond.
yeah,
Although I got to say I noticed yesterday about that, which let's say for the it's either going to go up before or after, depending on how you look at it. The plug for it, our top 10 Bond films. But that's going to be the next that's another podcast coming very very soon. You'll see it uploaded the same time as this one. So we're now looking at, in our honest opinions, our definitive James Bond movies.
yeah. So this is like a preamble to the top tens, which is our personal favourite. So not necessarily these aren't necessarily the best ones. They're the most definitive, in our opinions, for the series.
So this is the more standard professional version. When I say professional, because everybody likes to watch top tens and compare it to how their ones.
Yeah.
They always like, and every podcast or YouTube or site that have top tens like to say ours is the definitive. Well, this is our top 5, how we as individuals see as a defining Bond films. Okay, coming in at number 5. Do you want to go first?
I can do, yeah. My number 5 is The Spy Who Loved Me. And the reason I picked this, because it's not one of my actual favourites. I do really like it, but for some reason it just doesn't resonate with me as much as Moonraker or the first two Roger Moore ones. But I think it was the first one where you sort of, for a while since maybe Connery, where Bond got bigger again. You know, the Ken Adams sets are back in full swing. The La Paris tanker set's fantastic in this film. Like, they even had to build a soundstage around it because it wasn't big enough.
Is that the James Bond stage?
Yeah,
007 stage.
It was built on Spy Who Loved Me to house this tanker because the tanker wasn't big enough to fit inside a certain soundstage. So we thought, oh, screw it, we'll build our own soundstage. But I just think it goes back to the old basics, you know, like the megalomaniacal villain with the deformity. You know, he's got the webbed fingers. He wants the underwater kingdom to happen. And even like the tagline, it's the biggest, it's the best, it's Bond and beyond. You know, like it was like Bond going back to being sort of spectacular. And it's where, like, for me, the Roger Moore persona kicks in, the established Roger Moore. Because I think the first two, he's kind of not like he is later. He's tough. And he is like, he's up for breaking women's arms and, you know, like, especially Live and Let Die, like, it's quite dark, I think. Like, and he's quite serious in that, which is surprising if you were to go back to, like, the main Roger Moore era, which is a gateway Bond, as we've said many times, isn't it? Like, it's your first Bond usually, unless you're old. Yeah, this is like the first one where you sort of go, oh, this is Roger Moore's style, like, defined. And I think that's like, and again, like, Lewis Gilbert takes over the reins as director again, and he did, like, for me, he's done like the bombastic Bonds. You Only Live Twice, Moonraker, this one. So yeah, I think that's my number 5, as in like where the series sort of found its joie de vivre in terms of how big it could get. And you know, it's 1977, so let's top Star Wars.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
That was. I'm going with GoldenEye, 1995. Martin Campbell at the reins for the first time of a reboot, and it came after 6 years after the last one, which was License to Kill.
I think that was the largest gap at the time as well, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, 6 years is like a pipe dream for Bond fans now, isn't it?
Oh yes, especially what's been going on now. But GoldenEye, it's the one that gave it the reboot that it needed.
Yeah.
Tried to make Bond relevant again. You've got Judi Dench introduced as M, and you've got Q back, and it came at a time, you know, she called Bond was it sexist, misogynistic dinosaur,
a relic of the culture,
and it's sort of like it plays on, you know, past Bonds with and so I thought it goes back to a grittier Bond, more of a Connery Bond. So after Roger Moore, and you know, I thought, and I maintained Timothy Dalton is a great Bond.
Oh yeah,
but it's what was needed for the time. It was, if you look back, you know, you could argue that you could see him as a bit of he's very much like the Connery Bond.
Oh yeah.
But it was the Bond that was needed for the time to get the franchise restarted, and so that's the reason why I think GoldenEye is number 5 for me.
Yeah.
Plus, I would talk about it, the villain is fantastic.
No, I completely agree. I think GoldenEye's great. In fact, it's my next one, so I think we'll just roll that into number 4 actually, because like you say, it's the first it's kind of like, for me, there's 4 points where Bond grows up in the series. There's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Oh, what's it called?
Skyfall.
Skyfall, yeah, and GoldenEye. Sorry, 3 points, yeah. So I think, like, you know, this is the first growing up point, the first reinvention, if you like, before Casino Royale. And it's ironic that it's the same director as well. But, and yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said about GoldenEye. I think it's great.
My number 4 is, you touched on it, Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
You know, you've came off of one of the poor performing ones, and the one with George Lazenby on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which I love.
Yeah.
But Live and Let Die was, let's see if we can do, because it came off Diamonds Are Forever. I'll get it right, because you had you had the ill-fated on Her Majesty's Secret Service, so they got Connery back for Diamonds Are Forever. And it's like, let's see if we can actually get away with making a Bond film without Connery.
Yeah.
So they got Roger Moore, who was known as the Saint at the time.
Yeah,
right?
He was an original choice for Bond, but he was too young.
And Live and Let Die, you've got the Voodoo, and you've got New Orleans, and it's
the style of it's great.
Yeah,
isn't it?
And it proved that you can make Bond like GoldenEye relevant again. Or just reversed, should I say? And it's a good film. It is darker, and it does get lighter. They do.
Yeah.
But Live and Let Die was the one that proved that Bond is back.
Yeah.
So
I think as well. Like I like the whole sort of 70s blaxploitation vibe about it. You know, it's like Bond. If Bond met Shaft, you know, there's a great crossover for you. You know, it's. I think stylistically it is a great. It's just said the 70s. I love it.
And a fantastic soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Title song, Paul McCartney and Wings.
Yeah. Although I do prefer the Guns N' Roses version, if I had to choose.
I said Guns N' Roses, Paul McCartney and Wings both have great bass players, so it's.
We'll settle it.
Yeah. So number 3.
Well, we've mentioned it already, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I think it's like I've said, it's the first point where Bond grows up, in effect, you know, in quote marks, like the character, and especially coming off the back of Connery, it was quite a bold move to sort of say, shall we get a bit more serious? You know, there's no gadgets, not really. I mean, I don't know, there isn't any, is there really?
Nope.
There's
photocopier.
Yeah, photocopier. Yeah.
That they have to winch in.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, but apart from that, it's sort of like a proto Casino Royale, if you like. You know, where it's like Bond's pared down to his base instincts. You know, there's hardly any money penny cues in one scene. I think you don't see much of them, so it's more of like the first character study for me of Bond. You know, gets his heart broken. You know, and I can. It's so good. I even ignore the biggest Bond plot hole in the whole series of how him and Blofeld don't recognize each other.
It's the earlobes.
Or the other way around. Sorry, yes. Yeah, I mean, I know they tried to explain it away, didn't they? In like a deleted scene where it says that he'd had plastic surgery, so that's why he doesn't look like Connery. But you don't need to care, really. It's just, you know, I don't go bundle on this whole codename bollocks fan theory thing. It's just, it is what it is. It's a 60-year-old series coming up now. You don't need to have a continuity.
You say about Bond being a code name.
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he is definitely Connery's Bond, because look what he's got in his desk. He has always a clutch shoe, amongst other things.
And the whole, like, this never happened to the other fella. That's just a slide. That's a joke. Like, and it's funny. It does work. You know, it wouldn't work now, but it is like you watch it back and you do sort of chuckle still at it, because it's funny.
Let's address the elephant in the room. There, we've done it. Get on, I'm Bond.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what they say into It's Me, Get Used to It in Iron Man 2, Rhodey.
Yeah.
So that's addressing it.
Yeah. Actually, I never, until you pointed that to me, I didn't. I know, I was like, oh yeah, got it, yeah, because he's a different actor, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, it's not as on the nose, like stupid as this is your 40th watch.
Wink,
no,
wink.
Is it 40th? 20th.
20 is your 20th watch.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah, we know it's the 40th anniversary. Like.
Yeah.
No, less than that. Sorry.
My number 3.
Yep.
Dr. No.
Ah, interesting.
The father of modern day action cinema,
Yeah,
where
well,
he
yeah.
shoots and he quips,
Yeah.
he smacks the woman. The one that if we wouldn't be here discussing this if this had failed, and
Yeah, true, yeah.
it is enjoyable. It's a bloody
is,
good
yeah.
film.
Because, to be honest, not a lot really happens in it. It's
No.
like a proper spy movie, isn't
Yeah.
it? And I think a lot of them sort of lack that later. They become action films, don't they?
Yeah.
No, not in a disparaging sense, but yeah,
And
that's a good
it's
choice, actually.
yeah, it's going through this. I couldn't think about. I knew who always I knew what for top two of it. Number three, yeah, it couldn't be for me anything else other than Doctor
No,
No.
yeah, no, I think that's quite a good choice. I didn't actually include Doctor No, and that probably is a better choice than the one I picked for the next one, to be honest. But yeah, no, you're right. If that hadn't succeeded, we'd all be saying like, "Oh, do you remember that weird film in the '60s,
Yeah.
Doctor No?"
Yeah.
Like it'd be getting a cult Blu-ray release
Oh,
now,
yes.
wouldn't it?
And yeah. It seems like he must have been late for his own funeral. It was late for his own funeral.
Yeah.
And smacking the women around.
Yeah,
and
well, we
everything.
know Sean Connery likes to allegedly do that.
Yeah, allegedly, we don't want a lawsuit. So number two.
Well, this is kind of like an obvious one if you know me. So
Yeah.
I picked Skyfall.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think, well, seeing as it's in the reboot sort of universe, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's like the first time for me that Bond looks like a haggard, broken down guy, like, teaching old dogs new tricks when Moneypenny says to him. I like the fact that Bond, like, Skyfall might be set like maybe 5 or 10 years after the last film, because like he looks grizzled and he looks fucked essentially, doesn't he? Like, and it reminds me a bit of that sort of beat they tried to do in The World's Not Enough, but didn't really, where he has the shoulder injury.
Yeah.
And I just think that kind of was like an opening title sequence gag later on, because they didn't develop it into like, he shouldn't have been able to do a lot of the stuff he could do normally, and that would play into the plot. I like that in this, where he's, where he does the marksman thing and he misses all the shots.
Yeah.
And you think, wow, Bond's screwed. Like, what the hell's going on here? And probably one of the best villains. Silva is so creepy.
The bit where he takes his teeth out because of the cyanide.
So Silence of the Lambs, that person.
Yeah. And he's.
I always think, I think we both agree that the best Bond villains are what I call mirror Bonds.
Yeah.
Like it could be Bond if he'd gone the other way.
I
think Skyfall's like it's sort of, it's not another reinvention one, but it was one coming off the heels of, I don't hate Quantum of Solace, but it is really weak, and I think like trying to do that continued storyline thing didn't really work, in my opinion. So going fresh again.
It was more like an epilogue to Casino Royale.
Yeah, Coda. It's the shortest Bond film as well, so that says a lot about it.
I just want to say my number two is also Skyfall.
Oh, good.
So this way we can
continue.
so we can continue this conversation. I completely agree with everything you said. The best Bond villains, in my opinion, as well, are Bond's equals.
Yeah.
And he literally was Bond before James was 007. He's
Well, if you believe all that codename cobblers, then he probably was James Bond. I mean, there is a scene in that kind of maybe supports that theory, because at the end, when he looks at the grave saying like Bond's parents' names, he sort of laughs and scoffs. Yeah. And a lot of people are taking this to mean sort of like, oh, I used to have that codename.
No, I think he is James Bond.
Yeah, he was definitely like. I mean, there's also a theory that he's M's son, but I think that's more metaphorical, as in like all her agents are her sons. Like
he's took her on as an adopted mother.
Yeah,
and that's the reason both Vesper and M are the women in his life that have basically turned him into this cold-hearted bastard.
Yeah, and like both Silva and Bond lose their mother.
Yeah.
Like Silva lost her years ago when she gave up to the Chinese, and Bond literally loses her. She dies.
Yeah.
And I really, really liked that whole losing M thing. I thought that was, and it just great, even better plays into Ralph Fiennes taking over as, that was just fantastic.
That, to me, was when you see, he's Mallory is going to be evil because it's
Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, so that's it. And all the time I'm hoping, can he just for once play a good guy? Because I love Ralph Fiennes.
I can't say anything bad about him.
And when it's like that scene where Tanner and Q literally, and and Mallory walks in, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, tell him to take this. This is the
Yeah, you
right
think,
place
oh,
to go.
he's a good
It's
guy,
like,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But I definitely didn't see the M thing coming.
No.
You know, like Mallory, it's even
Yeah.
like thrown right at you, isn't
Yeah.
it? But just that end scene where like the office looks like the old office, and
Yeah.
you know, like who see you now? Like it was so great, fantastic.
And it's got, I mean, one thing we haven't pointed out yet is, whereas all the other Bond films and Daniel Craig have got really modernistic, if that's a word,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
scores and soundtracks.
Yeah.
The title song for Skyfall with Adele is a hark back to
it's my favourite.
traditional.
I think it's fun. You can just listen to it and think that sounds Bondy.
It does.
You know, and I think it's something. Do you know what? I don't like Billie Eilish, but I do think the song for No Time to Die sounds Bondish as well. And I will give her credit for that. I think because I really didn't like Writing on the Wall, Inspector, and Another Time to Die was no. Is that right? The one from Quantum of Solace, isn't it? Yeah.
Another Way to Die.
Another Way to Die. Yeah. That was garbage.
But You Know My Name worked perfectly.
Oh,
for
that
the
was
reboot.
Fantastic. Yeah.
But I just thought, from start to finish, Skyfall, to me, which I liked it for all the reasons. It's the third one in the Daniel Craig, right?
Yeah.
And it mirrors what I define as the definitive James Bond film, which I'm going to go into, which we'll go into soon, very soon.
Which I think it's probably going to be the same.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So because of that, it was a Bond film. Like I said, I do like Quantum of Solace, and I like Casino Royale.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Skyfall takes it to the next level, and you can even argue you've even got it's just it's Javier Bardem.
So he's so everything he's in, like he's so captivating. I mean, I recently watched the Pirates of the Caribbean again, and he's scary in that as well. You know, in Saladin's Revenge, you just think that the guy is so good at playing a bad guy, and it's almost weird when you see him playing a good guy because he has done it before, and it's just he's such a great actor. Like he's so talented. I think like he's up there in like the pantheon of good Bond villains. I think
definitely.
I mean, 100%.
And he's a broken Bond.
Yeah, and I prefer the Bond villains. I do like my campy Bond villains, but I don't. I personally prefer the ones that are not megalomaniacal. You know, like don't want to destroy the world. He has a simple motive: revenge.
So should we get to number one?
Yes,
which I think is the same
it's
one.
The same
you want to say it?
Goldfinger. Yeah.
Goldfinger.
Obviously.
I love From Russia with Love. I love Dr. No. But Goldfinger is the Bond film that made Bond Bond.
Yeah, the gadgets, that car, the maniac villain. You know, exactly the villain I just said I didn't prefer. But everything about that film is Bond. Like everything that was before it led up to it, everything that came after it is synthesized from it. Sean Connery is James Bond. There is no other everything that comes after that is from him. You know, and you will always say to the new, whatever Bond comes after him, you'll always say, oh, so and so is a bit like Connery or is nothing like Connery. You'll always compare them to Connery, and even if he's not your favorite Bond, I think you'll still do it.
I think Goldfinger is not. He is the megalomaniac villain.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he's quite campy as well, isn't he?
Yeah, but you've got Pussy Galore, a strong Bond girl.
Yeah.
And
she actually is a black belt in karate, so
she looks like she can kick ass.
Yeah.
And you got whereas From Russia with Love had had Red Grant.
Oh, great! Yeah, I love Grant.
But then now moving on to the more humorous sidekick villains with Odd Job.
Yeah.
So it's like your Bond villain, like Nick Nack as well, and
like your sort of sub villain.
Yeah.
Before the final guy. Yeah, like Jaws, and I think that's a sort of trend that carries on constantly now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and one of my favorite sort of sub villains, if you like, is Batista from
Mr. Hinks.
Oh, he's great. I think he's fantastic.
It oozes Jaws right to the fact that he lives.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, Goldfinger, you know, the Shirley Bassey
Yeah, yeah.
song and
Dame.
everything. Yeah, Dame Shirley Bassey. Everything. It's perfect filmmaking for the actions by James Bond. I mean, it is the definitive James Bond film.
I think if you didn't know, maybe like after From Russia with Love, it was sort of the traction was building, and people were saying, "Oh, this Bond thing's pretty cool. Like, what's the next one going to be?" It was this one where it was like phenomenon. Like this was like the new hope of Bond, basically. Like there was no way after this that you weren't going to know who it was, and here we are, 23 films later.
24 into them 25.
Yeah. So
25 is No Time to Die.
Yeah. Okay.
Of the Eon series.
Yeah.
Eon MGM.
No.
So we're not going to include Never Say Never Again, or
the spoof.
The spoof Casino Royale, or the TV mini.
CBS.
Jimmy Bond.
Climax. That was called, I think.
So yeah, Goldfinger are number one.
I mean, it might pop up in the other list, so I won't say too much about it.
Yeah, so that's in our opinion, our definitives. James Bond movies. See you all in another High Ground podcast.
Yes, we will.